So today we're going to do our Zen Tangle lesson. And the first thing we're going to do is just choose a letter, any letter you want to use. And you're going to make a block or bubble letter. So I want to go quickly through how you do that because today we're going to be working in just Sharpie or pen. I'll leave that up to you. The Sharpies are in the classroom. Do remember that I have that box full of Sharpies and that all of them have to be returned. There are 30 in the box. And so if you want to leave class at the end, make sure that everyone has turned them in. The teacher will count them before we go anywhere. We are going to make block or bubble letters. So when you get to your paper, you're just going to choose to make one. Please keep it inside, pretty large, just like the examples you saw. But we do need some room on the edges of the paper. So for me, I'm going to do the letter W. I'm going to start as if I don't know how to do bubble letters and show you this in case you're one of those people that maybe that's just not something you do or have done before. If I haven't done it before, I make my letter. Here it's going to be a W. And pencil. It's the only time we would use pencil today. Then I get to take my marker and go around it. And you just almost like take a walk, is what I like to call it, as if they're going around the block, around the letter. And when you do that, you can't touch the pencil line, otherwise it would buzz, right? You don't touch it, you just go around. And when you do that, there's that block letter. So then then I would erase out the pencil line and I would be ready to begin. If you already know how to make your bubble letter, then you just start on the page, draw your letter. Remember, it shouldn't go all the way to the edge of your paper. We're going to need that room still. Today, we are just going with it. I want to see if you can just make something, produce something, be loose and more original with your artwork. So that's part of the Sharpie. There's no going back and changing it. Like if I didn't think this was a perfectly straight line, I have to just let it go and just be comfortable with what I've drawn. That's something I really want us to work on, and I want you to get more creative as well, and this will push you to do that. So our step one, letter is done. The next thing it says to do is to make dots around the corner. So all I do is I come over here and make a dot over in this corner, just a little bit away from the edge. I don't want it all the way in here, just a little off of the edges. Then you're going to go from dot to dot, creating the edge of your picture. It specifies that yes, often people do a straight line, but it doesn't have to be a straight line. So if it were a straight line, I'd go from this dot straight to here. But if you want to make it a wavy line or a zigzag line, that's fine. And I could do that from here to here, so then I could go and make it wavy. Usually people keep it square. It's nice and simple and a good way to start. But if you are feeling already like being creative and want to make those wavy, zigzag, whatever kind of lines you want, just make sure it touches from dot to dot, all the way around your letter. The next step is to make those strings. And when I describe strings, what they're talking about is something that is anchored, that touches from one edge, the outer frame, and then touches the edge of your letter. A piece of string doesn't tie down to anything, it's just going to fall down. Our whole point is to tie it from one to the other. So I could tie a string here to here, and then that's a nice string. That's what we're looking for. If you're doing things like this, it's not a string. That's like something blowing in the wind, it would fall down. It needs to be tied to something, so you could tie it here. Again, they can be wavy, they can be straight, they could be zigzag. They can cross each other. However you want to do it, we're going to make different lines around the paper. Those strings, they're from edge to edge. I would just count down from like 20, and then when you think you're good, you stop. It's starting to look like puzzle pieces around your letter. The next thing you want to do is to create those patterns. This is when the music's going to start, and I want you to not talk to other people, really focus on your work, let loose, go with it, and see how creative you can be. You all should be getting a sheet like this. It's double-sided and has tons of patterns you can look at and try to reproduce. Yes, some of them are more complicated and maybe you don't know how to make them. That's fine, but at the same time there are really simple designs that I know every single one of you can do. Just look for the shape in it, triangles, squares, swirls. Here's another simple one. If you have a pattern you'd like to create that isn't on this sheet, you are more than welcome to do it, but every single area gets a new pattern. For today, we're going to leave the letter blank and do this outside area. So if I have a pattern I would like to do, maybe I'll do these triangles. Then I start, and the music's on, I'm not talking to other people, and I'm really just working on this myself. So maybe I'll make a line across, make a dark triangle, leaving that negative space, and you take your time. There are no wrong answers today, so please don't get caught up in, oh my gosh, I did it wrong, I really need to work in pencil. There aren't wrong answers. The only way you could do something wrong today is if you don't try to do anything. I want you guys to just try to let loose, make as many patterns as you can think of, and take your time. There is absolutely no reason that someone should be done early today, because even if you've done a pattern, you can probably go back and add something more to it. Say I had completed this whole area, and I'm like, oh, I'm done. Actually, I could add more. I could go to the clear ones and add a dot in each one. I could add a small plaid pattern. I could add any number of things. Maybe each one of these should be striped now. Okay, there's always more you can add. Once I've filled in this whole area, I get to think of a new pattern or look at my sheet and pick a new pattern and start it in another one. You should be able to get most of this done with a lot of work time and if you are focused and on task, but it's not a race, nor is it a time to be talking or just gabbing and getting nothing done. Here's an example of one that's been worked on a lot further. So here's a pattern of just dots. Then it switches to circles and dots. Then over here it's just wavy lines. Then over here a grid with then like an L shape around. This one is not done yet either. It has 1, 2, 3 more spaces that could be filled in. It does take a while. I want nice, neat work if you can. I want your best work. But take your time and really relax. Let your art go and see what it turns out like.